this room's full. I want you to shake the walls. Ready? How are you guys? That's way better, way better. All right, we're gonna bring them up. It's a Q&A, so I hope the mics are out there. They are, right? Excellent. When you guys come up, you can ask any question you want. Almost any question you want. Ask each person specifically. If you don't ask a specific person, I'm just gonna kind of decide which person your question's for, because we only have a limited amount of time. All right, let's bring him up. First up, Randy Rogel, the guy who wrote all that music you love. Randy Rogel. Next up, the brain, Maurice LaMarche. And his counterpart, Pinky, Rob Paulson. His little sister, Dot, Tress McNeil. And the rock star of the group, Wacko, Jess Harnell. Rob has allergies to the atmosphere.
Yeah. This is my friend Mike Crystal gave me whatever disease it is that made my nose.
Something's different. Is it your hair?
Hello, Denver!
Yeah, that's right. All right, you know what? We all got to do that together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Denver! All our friends are here, man. This is so cool. Thank you for coming, you guys. It's great to see you.
Man, happy Memorial Day. This is really lovely. Thanks for coming.
All right, they're gonna come up. They're gonna get lined up at that mic and ask questions.
Okay.
I'll start it off because this will be the only all-panel question. This will get us going. I know what everyone wants to know, and that's how did you guys get your role in this show? Because that's the story they want to hear. Is how
well, I originally auditioned for Dot, so it's kind of weird. Who do you want to start?
Let's start with Randy, because Randy is a great story how he wrote the music for the show.
Oh, how I got on the show? I was writing Batman.
And he had already won an Emmy for writing Batman.
Oh, thank you, sir. So across the hall were all of Steven Spielberg's people doing Tiny Toons at that time, and I heard they were going to do this new show called Animaniacs. I said, well, I should write for that show. And they said, no, you write that dark stuff, Batman, and this is a comedy. And I said, but comedy is me. So I went home and I wrote that song with all the countries, and gave that to Dan. So fortunately, Spielberg liked that, and Tom Ruger, who ran the show, he liked that, and so he had me do another one, and then I ended up on Animaniacs. And a kind of a weird corollary to that is about a year had gone by, and Alan Burdett, who ran Batman, came to me and says, hey, we're behind in Batman scripts, would you write a couple of Batman scripts? I thought, oh, that'd be fun, I haven't written them for a while. So in the Monday morning meeting, I told Gene McCurdy, I said, hey, I'm gonna be writing a couple of Batman scripts. She goes, but Batman's dark, you write all that comedy stuff. But mine's the lesser story, here's the stars. You know, when you write stuff, you're only as lucky as the people who get to perform it. And I was very lucky, that's why.
And when you're an actor, you're only as good as the script.
Yeah.
So I went in for this new show. You know, I'd been on Tiny Toons as Dizzy Devil.
Oh, you know Dizzy Devil? Dizzy loves pizza rolls. I love Denver.
So I went in and they said, oh, you know, Tom Ruger's coming up with a new show, and he wants to kind of keep it in the family, so he's giving the Tiny Toons actors kind of first crack. Mo, you have the first set, you have the first audition, 9 a.m. Be across town at 9 a.m. You know, you're always 5 minutes late. You're not going to tolerate that. Be on time. So I get up super early, and it's the one time in my career that thus far, I actually showed up 5 minutes early, and I had a chance to look at this. This first thing was on top was this mouse who looked just like, to me, Orson Welles. He had the sloped brow and the slightly annoying, arch to his eyebrows, and I in my hubris thought, because at that point I was kind of well known for irritating engineers and directors by reciting the entire Orson Welles outtake tape of the Frozen Peas commercial. So here in my hubris I thought, oh, they've created this character just for me.
Turns out they did.
No, they didn't have me in mind at all. That was a caricature of Tom Minton. And Pinky was a caricature of Eddie Fitzgerald, who was his writing partner at the time.
Those were writers on Stanley.
They were kind of writers, they were kind of inseparable, and it was just a very funny picture, because Tom Minton's got a very dour kind of, or dour kind of, process here, English major, I gotta pronounce it correctly, affect. Anyway, not knowing any of that, I just thought, well, they want Orson Welles.
So would you just do 15 seconds of that very infamous outtake?
What was the audition?
No, just a
They don't want it.
Let's hear the audition. This is how Maurice used to do his mic check in every episode.
We know a remote farm in Lincolnshire where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow. Do you really mean that?
Yes, I'd start about half a second late.
Don't you think you really want to say July over the snow? Isn't that the fun of it?
If you could make it older so that short disappears also, it'll make much.
I think it's so nice that you see a snow-covered field and say every July peas grow there.
Anyway, it's a 5-minute It ends with Orson Welles, the great director, saying to these two English advertising guys, it ends with him going,
Now, what is it you want? In your depths of your ignorance, what is it you want? Whatever it is you want, I can't deliver because I just don't see it.
that was absolutely fine.
It isn't worth it. No money is worth it. He walks out of the studio.
Okay, so with that, I think they want Orson Welles. I sit down and I do Orson Welles as the brain, and this whole speech about, taking over the world. And I leave, and apparently Tom Ruger was sitting there and went, great, that's Brain, now let's find Pinky. So I was the first and last person to read for the Brain. But it was like so innovative to them. They weren't expecting that. I did the unexpected thing.
Tom Ruger is a genius.
Yeah, so, and then,
My Pinky.
Yes, I am his Pinky! Oh, you're all so pretty, oh, so lucky. Except for you in the 15th row, I don't like you at all. But the rest of you, I love, la 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 la.
Like everybody else, I had the good fortune of working on Tiny Toon Adventures, and Tom Ruger and Mr. Spielberg and Ms. Jean McCurdy were coming up with this new show, and we had this crazy audition schedule. I think that Tress and I spoke to each other every night for 6 weeks or so, because they'd call back after call back after call back, because it was clearly a big deal. And I knew there was going to be a huge amount of music in it, and this was one of those moments, those seminal moments in your life where you go, wow, this is the high heat right over the plate. And all I have to do is connect and it'll go right over the green monster. But I had the good fortune of having had friends like Andrea Romano and Tom Ruger and Jean McCurdy familiar with my stuff, and I was fortunate enough to
Excuse me, I'm Yakko. Hello, me.
So I got to be Yakko and Pinky and also Dr. Scratch and Sniff. So I had it was an arduous process, to say the least, but it was pretty clear that they had folks whom they wanted, and I think they had worked with virtually all of us, including Ms. McNeil, who was Babs Bunny, as you know. So it's just been an incredible ride, and I have to tell you, when we were working on it, we knew that we had something special, and 20 years later, you guys are,
Look at this, man.
are proving us right, and that is absolutely due to Tom Ruegger, Steven Spielberg, and Gene McCurdy. They wrote the show, as you all know, on 2 levels, because they were all inspired by Looney Tunes and Rocky and Bullwinkle, and I can't tell you how many people that come up to us who were 8, 10, 12, 14 years old in those days, and come up and say, wow! Fingerprints?
Yeah, you dirty-minded people. That's why we love you.
So anyway, I'd like for you to hear from the bar none, the preeminent voice actress in the history of our culture. It's Tress McNeil.
Is this working? I do owe you $20. Thank you. That was wonderful. Well, I don't know if that's true, but anyway, I've been a very, very lucky woman because I've had the opportunity of working with all of the very best in all of my casts, but primarily Animaniacs. I did a lot of Pinky and the Brains too.
Yes, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I was.
And tell how many Simpsons have you?
Yeah.
Well, over 500.
500 Simpsons episodes.
Over 500, yeah, but I don't know if you've heard of that show. But anyway, so yes, I had come off of Tiny Toon Adventures, where it was my great privilege to play Babs Bunny. And I was very lucky in that because Sherry Stoner, who continued to write for Tiny Toons and then for Animaniacs, was a member of the Groundlings, the improv group that I was in, and so she knew all of the impressions that I did. And so she pretty much wrote my audition piece, and it was made for me. It was tailor-made. And Steven Spielberg, Steven was favorably disposed toward me, and we were great friends with Andrea Romano, our director, and it was just like being in the 6th grade with your favorite friends and your favorite teacher, and getting A's in all your classes. And so it's a wonderful way to spend your career, your time, and I've just continued to be luckier and luckier being associated with all of these people are all my best friends now. I really don't have much a whole life. I just call them up and say, what are you doing today? Because I could go. And sometimes they let me go, as long as I don't speak. And it works out really nicely. They're going to drive me places later on, they say. And bring me soup. Mo, you said Mo's going to bring me soup. I think that we've already established that. And so, yeah, I was, Rob and I were on pins and needles when it came to Animaniacs because it took quite a long time for them to make their decision on that, as I recall. And we had to have that show. We had to. There was just going to be no justice in the world if that didn't go in our favor. And there are many times throughout your career when you audition for something and you want it so bad, and you got to have it, and you don't get it. And then you find out. You find out. You find out. Maybe it isn't the funnest show. And you end up with the shows that you're meant to be on and be with the people that you're meant to be with. And, you know, I feel that God saved me from some cartoons and they gave me all the rest. So,
Well, as for me, I came about it a different way. I was Steven Spielberg's pool cleaner. And I was just hanging out. That's not true. my background's a little bit different. I mean, we all have backgrounds in music and different things, but I was basically a rock singer first in rock bands and stuff like that. And then I became a studio singer, and I was singing jingles. I sang a lot of jingles that some of you guys probably remember. Like, the first voiceover I ever did, I was doing a Budweiser spot that went, "I'm a genuine Bud man!" Bud, Bud, Bud. And that was me, right? Yeah. And I read the copy. They said, "Hey, you got a cool voice. Why don't you read the copy?" And I said, "Is there money in it?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Let me read it." So I read it, and I did that, and then I didn't do any more voiceover. And then the guy I sang for said, "We're doing this ride for Disneyland called Splash Mountain. Have you guys been on that ride?" Yeah, I didn't even want to get paid. I was just so happy to have my voice on a ride at Disneyland. I thought that was so cool. And I was Brer Rabbit. I'm still Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear and Brer, yeah. And Brer Accountant and Brer, pool cleaner and everything else. So I'm all over that ride. And I did that, and then I went back to singing. I forgot all about the voiceover thing. Then I went a year later to do the one for Disney World, the Splash Mountain ride for Disney World, and I did it again. And I made friends with this guy at Disney Character Voices. And his name's Rick Dempsey. He runs that department. And he said to me, he goes, "Hey man, we are having some problems with Roger Rabbit, the guy who's Roger Rabbit." He said, "Can you learn to do that?" And I said, "Oh, jeepers, I think so." So that was cool. So I took over doing the Roger Rabbit stuff, right? And again, I was just singing, and I thought, this is great because I get to be a goofball and they give me money for it. This is amazing. I didn't know that these guys existed or that there was a career in doing these cartoon things, So I get this agent, and they said, "Hey, there's this show called Animaniacs, and you should read for it because you're crazy." And I said, "Yeah, that makes sense." So I went in there, and they showed me these characters and everything, and I liked this one, Wacko, because he had a hammer and he didn't wear pants. And I thought...
Life imitates art.
Thank you, yeah. And I thought, well, this is a good match for me, And I did some voice. I think my first audition was just some crazy, cartoony voice for this Wacko guy. And I got what they call a callback, where they like you enough to bring you back and have you do it again. And I went in the studio with Andrea Romano, who's our great director for Animaniacs and Pinky to bring all the shows. Yeah, she's amazing. You should all go to her house later. I'll give you the address. But anyway, she loved that. So I went in and I was doing Wacko stuff, and she goes, "Hey, I know you do a lot of impressions. Why don't you try doing this with an impression?" And I said, "Of who?" And a lot of people don't know this, but she goes, "Why don't you try Elvis?" Okay? So we could be sitting here right now going, "Hey man, I think you're taboo. Give me a hamburger, man." "Hello, nurse." That'd just be kind of weird though. So it didn't work out like that. But she said, "Well, why don't you do the Beatles?" And I said, "Well, which one?" And she goes, "What do you mean? Don't they all kind of sound the same?" I go, "No, dude. That's like saying that everybody from Southern California sounds like me." And I said, "No, let me show you. Here, I'm going to give you guys a quick lesson in voiceover. So if you're interested, it takes about. This is how you imitate all four of the Beatles. You want to see it? Okay, first of all, you got John, and John's voice is sort of sharp and it's pointed like it's coming out of his nose. You almost picture like a little arrowhead on your voice when you're doing this. You see, it's like that, great, right? Then you got Paul, and Paul's voice is more friendly. It's great. It's good to see all your fat. Pick it great. It's fantastic, is it? Then there's George, and George always sounded like he had a cold and he spoke very slowly and he sounded congested almost, you see. Then there's Ringo, and Ringo's down here at the bottom, so they're all four very different, you see what I'm saying? Right? So she said, "Try it like Ringo." And I'm like, "Hello, miss." And I'm like, "Oh, this is Fabu, and can I call you Dadu?" And all these things. And then she showed me a picture of him, and he was a little dude. And I'm like, "Well, little guy can't sound like, a big full-grown Beatle." So what I did is I took Ringo's voice, and I gave him a shot of helium, and that was Wacko. Right? It's good. So I leave, and I forgot all about it. I mean, Rob and Tress are talking every night because they know how important this is. To me, I just thought it was goofy, So I went back to singing Def Leppard songs someplace, and then I get the call that I get this show, and I show up on the first day, and they're there, and I had no idea that I was working with like the greatest people in the business. I'm glad I didn't know because I would have been totally intimidated by them. But instead, I think the first thing I ever said to Rob Paulson, we were between takes, and they're kind of looking at me like, "Who the hell is this?" And I go over to Rob, and he kind of looks at me and he goes, "Hi," and I go, I like it when you make your voice sound like people that you're not in real life." And ever since then, he's been my big brother, and of course I fell in love with Tress and everybody else, and it's just turned into this fantastic thing, but that is how I began with Animaniacs. There you go.
All right. So now we got the ground level done. We'll start right over here. I saw you first, so we'll start on this side right here with that.
First, I want to thank you guys for the Colorado Symphony Orchestra thing you did.
Hell yeah!
That was amazing.
Pleasure.
I loved it. My question is for Jess. Compare your experience on Animaniacs to being Captain Hero on Drawn Together.
Drawn Together. First of all, dude, I love you, but I hate you for that question.
I love both characters.
Yeah, well, you know, for those who don't know, the cool part of our job, one of the coolest things about it, I always like to say, is that we can show up at work and play the dad, the kid, and the dog on the same show, the same day, without getting into different costumes, right? How cool is that? One of the cool things is that we get to do shows with different tones. Like Animaniacs, like Rob said, worked on 2 levels. It was an adult level and a kid level. It's funny on both, right? But it was basically like for kids. Drawn Together is a show basically for people who are in prison. It was on Comedy Central, and every week I played this guy, Captain Hero, who was the world's worst superhero of all time. Basically, if there was any kind of danger, he would hold up the nearest woman in front of him and use her as a shield. Okay, this was kind of what he did. So thematically, the difference was that one was meant for younger people, one was meant for older people who were drunk or high. But I can tell you this, if I could sum it all up to you, this is Animaniacs, okay? Can I call you Dadu? You're Fabu, right? This is Drawn Together. Man, I wish I had a 12-year-old girl and a donkey. That's the difference. Those are both correct quotes, and for all you kids out there, don't even worry about what that meant. You'll find out in like 8 years.
All right, thanks for that, I think. Moving on, we'll go to this side here. You, sir, go ahead.
All right. This one's basically for the whole panel. To Randy, what's your favorite song that you've written? And to the rest of you, what's the favorite song that you've ever performed?
All right, this is a quick 10-second answer. Because he wasn't listening, so.
The favorite song that you've written.
The question was what was the, I'm just at the audience in here, was what was the favorite song I've written?
Favorite song you've written and favorite song they've performed.
Yeah. Well, before I go, I just wanted to say something that Rob was saying and I know they'll agree with me, we really should give a shout out to some of the great staff writers that were on Animaniacs and Pinky the Brain. They included Sherry Stoner, like you said, Dan Oliver, Peter Hastings, did brilliant work, I think, on everything. John McCann. These are the guys, I have to tell you, for guys like, we don't get out in front of the audiences like you do. We sit in a room in a studio and have a cerebral existence where we write songs, and we write scripts, and we never get to see how the audience reacts. So it's a real treat for me to be here and see how you react to the material. As for which song of mine that I've written is my favorite song, that is like asking me, who's my favorite, of my children, who's my favorite child? That's I think a more appropriate thing, someone asked me, what's the hardest song you've ever written? And it's whatever song I'm writing right now is the hardest one. So maybe that's my favorite. I have to say probably the one that's gotten the most play would be Yakko's World. And I assume you're saying a song I've written for Animaniacs, because I've written for a lot of shows. Did you guys see Rio 2? Yeah! I wrote Poisonous Love with John Powell for Kristen Chenoweth. I like that song. So that would be my answer. I mean, I love all my songs, otherwise I wouldn't put them out there.
My favorite song is this one.
By Richard Strauss. That was Johann Richard Strauss.
Richard Strauss, yeah.
I know him as Rich.
One of the Strauss
We're composers.
It's funny because you would think my favorite song would be Neocortex Frontal Lobe. Pons and Cortex Visual. Symphysis Pineal. Left hemisphere. Cerebellum left. Cerebellum right. Synapse hypothalamus. Striatum dendrite. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
that was written by Stephen Foster,
Yes.
right?
Stephen Foster
and Tom Minton, I think.
How about that? Stephen Foster. Let's see, the one that goes
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti,
Jamaica, Peru, that one I really like a lot.
We'll save that for the end.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is an embarrassment of riches, truly. Randy's music, and again, Tress and I were talking last night. I believe it was John McCann who wrote the You and Me. We had a bag of fun down by the East Riverside, and also Paul Rugg wrote Magellan, right? Yeah. But I have to say, without question, was that John too? Without question, though, it's clearly the Countries of the Yakko's World that Randy wrote. And again, you may have missed this at the beginning, but Randy mentioned he wrote that song, and that was his audition piece, you guys. Yeah, so he said, I went home and wrote this. Yeah, I went home and wrote a check to my mortgage holder. You know?
Got me the gig.
Yeah, that's that is my favorite song of Animaniacs, and people often say, you ever get tired of singing that song? The problem is when people stop asking. That's when it's a problem. But yeah, Randy is, the word genius gets bandied about, but it is absolutely applicable in Randy's issue.
Tress and I both are Animaniacs.
I've been a very fortunate girl because Randy has written many, many songs for me. I'm cute. My very favorite, I think. And also LA Dot. And of course, I love performing I'm Mad with my brothers. It's a regular tour de force. A real performance piece. And I love our vocal blend in Magellan. I thought the day we recorded that we were Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yeah.
I thought we sounded so good. And we recorded an album that day. And I'm thinking about people saying, yeah, we're in the studio recording an album. We're going to be there for, 3-4 months. We're going, hey, we just did one this morning.
We knocked it out before lunch.
We just finished. It's great.
Okay, as for me, I'll make it quick. Least favorite songs, anything that Kanye West does. including the one called I Married Kim Kardashian. That's my favorite. Most favorite songs, anything by Journey, because chicks dig it. And my most favorite Animaniacs song has to be Wacko's America, because all my teachers used to say, dude, you're gonna end up in prison. And I said, no, dude, I'm gonna end up knowing more capitals than you. And that's my answer.
All right, thank you. But to reiterate, everyone behind you now hates you because they're not going to get to the end of the line. So let me repeat, one question, one person from now on. Makes it a lot easier. Or I'm just going to pick one. Go ahead, this side, go.
All right, this question's for Maurice. Have you caught yourself back in Brain's mindset since the show ended and come up with a new plan for taking over the world you wish you could have done?
I caught myself, say it slower?
Caught yourself in Brain's mindset and come up with a new plan to take over the world.
I am always planning to take over the world. I have never left Brain's mindset. However, Maurice has left his Maurice mindset. We thought it was all about a show called Futurama. Please pass, my friends. Morbo is not pleased with that response. No, the only thing that happens with me is I think of perhaps creating a Pinky in the Brain motion picture.
Now that's the first smart thing you've said all damn day.
The only problem is I think about that and then I realize the way Hollywood runs now, they need to reboot it and recast it. And you'd hear, Peter Dinklage as the Brain, and Russell Brand as Pinky, and I would not be able to carry on. So, the 87 or so episodes we did are canon, and let's leave it that way.
All right, thank you. Next question over here, go ahead.
Hi, Rob, you mentioned earlier about how these scripts were written on two levels for kids and adults. Like the fingerprint scene, I remember that, and like seeing it now, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they got away with that. Were you guys ever aware when you were recording the shows that like these adult jokes placed in the scripts?
Were we aware that they were adult jokes?
Yeah, were you in on that?
Oh, sure.
No, we were all brought up.
We're not stupid, bro.
I actually am on a Mennonite colony. I completely self-reliant.
Yeah, you know, I was born at night, but not last night, Jim.
Oh, absolutely, and that was a big part of the fun. You know, when the late great Kenny Mars played Beethoven, and we had trouble with the fact that he called himself a pianist. And Maurice he did his best Kirk Douglas impression as Michelangelo because we were talking about the Sistine Chapel.
How he liked painting naked people.
What have you done to my ceiling?
It was a script written by Gordon Bressack called Hooked on a Ceiling. So yeah, we were definitely aware of it, and clearly the writers were too, and that was the fun of it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next over here.
Hi, my question is for Rob. First off, thank you so much for your podcast. I love it.
Thank you.
So do we.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
My question is, of all the advice that you would give on that podcast or anywhere, what is the number one most important piece of advice you'd give to an aspiring voiceover?
Become an actor.
Yeah.
It is, and no, seriously, it's called voice acting, and the reason that you guys love all of the characters, not only that we've created, but all the other incredibly gifted voice actors out there, they're all actors, and you love Morbo and Bart and Homer and all the great
Peter
characters.
Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Because they have a soul, and let's make it clear, this is a collaborative effort. You guys are giving us incredible props, and we appreciate it, but the characters are famous. We don't draw them, and we don't write them. Well, Randy writes them, but truly, so it's a very collaborative effort, and the reason that you like certain characters and that Bugs lasts forever, is that I can envision Bugs Bunny coming out and saying, duck season, wabbit season, fire! And then he goes back to his rabbit hole and reads a racing form and has a beer. Because he has a life that is created, and that's why those characters, and that's because Mel Blanc was a phenomenal actor, and Tress MacNeille is a phenomenal actor. So yeah, that's 20 more bucks. Yeah, so I would do that. Improv, stage, music, all of it, and the noblest of reasons to do it is because it feeds your soul and it makes you and other people happy. If money happens, that's great, but I promise you, none of the people you see up here, nor the people who have been kind enough to be on my podcast, which you nicely mentioned, ever began doing it to make money. None of us.
No, we do it because we have unholy acting talent!
All right, thank you very much. On this side, go ahead.
This one's kind of directed to Randy. On the level of the two-level jokes, is there any that you remember that didn't make it through that you can share with us?
You mean on a song or a script?
On a script.
Yes, I was writing a Batman. Are you all familiar with the term BS&P? Could be BS. But it's broadcast standards and practices. No, because these were kid shows, we had to be careful. And so when Batman the Animated Series came out, it was a little darker, if you remember, than, he played real. And they would just be all over us. And I had this one really cool scene. It was the movie Sub-Zero. I wrote the script of that, the Batman movie. And I had Batman breaking through a skylight. And, landing, and you just see the eyes in the darkness. And I knew they were not going to let me have him come to the glass because they didn't want that to be repealed. So I had him, in the script, I had him land, and then he throws the batarang, and it severs the head of the bag, and it comes bouncing down the stairs. And I'm, you can't do that. Why not? With this big art, all right, we took that out, and they never noticed the glass. So I got to keep that in. So when you see it, you'll see him come to the glass.
Thanks, guys. Love y'all.
Thank you very much. On this side, go ahead.
So mine is for Tress, and I wanted to say that you are my late husband's most favorite voice actor of all time. So I wanted to mention that. But my question for you is, you've had a plethora of voice roles. Which one is your favorite to do?
My favorite to do? Well, I have great freedom with Dot, and they always gave us that freedom. We didn't have to stick with the lines specifically. You try to honor the writers as much as possible, and not go too much to town. But I also like Agnes Skinner because she's cranky and she's saying things that you're thinking. Let's be frank. Every girl in here is gonna be Agnes Skinner one day. I'm not lying, I'm just true. And so, it just gives you a little taste of your future. And she's still dating.
Thank you.
Would you just do a little bit of the crazy cat lady for me?
Moving on, this side over here, go ahead.
This question is for Jess, and I was just wondering what your favorite part about voice acting for the Animaniacs was.
What my favorite part of voice acting is and how it relates to sports? One more time, Zoe.
What your favorite part about voice acting for the Animaniacs was.
Oh, gosh.
It's working with us.
Yeah, well, actually, that's kind of true because you know what's kind of great about life? Whenever you're having a good time, it's important to kind of soak it in and remember it. And we always talk about how, in fact, that when we were recording the Animaniacs, we took time regularly to go, how cool is this, man? This is so awesome. We're here, we're working with the greatest people, the greatest scripts, the greatest music. Steven Spielberg's throwing money at us. This is awesome, right? And so I think my favorite part of it was just appreciating it in the moment. Plus, I gotta give props because I learned from the best. I really was kind of new at this. And it's like, Mo was the guy I looked to as like my hero of impressions. Rob was the guy, Rob was the guy I kind of learned, I'm like, this guy should be the mayor, man, because he's just so good with people. And I used to watch that. I was just glad that Tress didn't hate me because she could kick my ass, So it was like, and of course, God bless you, Tress, I love you, baby. But it's like,
Took copious notes.
Yeah, I took copious notes. I did, man. And it's like, so I was just grateful for every second of it. And speaking of gratitude, I just want to throw this out there right now. I know, I look crazy, I say funny things, but this is from the heart, okay? Sometimes you guys come up to me at these things and you say, oh, I've been a fan for years, I've been a fan for years. I look at it differently. I don't look at you guys, I don't think any of us do, as fans. I look at you guys as my friends, and here's why, okay? Because friends support you, friends like what you do, friends are there for you in good times and bad, and they love you. And that's why you guys are my friends. And I love you, Zoe. Thank you, baby.
Hey, if I could just add something really quickly, because I'm the guy on the other side of the I know these look like a bunch of goofballs, right? They're just always screwing around, having a great time, being crazy. They can do that. But for all of you that are interested in getting into the business, they're real pros. That when the meter's going at thousands of dollars a minute and you got to be on, that's really why they're there. They just bring it every time. It is nice that we write, but they up the material. I don't know if anybody ever tells you that, but you're dealing with unbelievable talent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Loki.
First of all, I want to tell you that you have been so gracious. I had the chance to interact with several of you yesterday and the day before. So open, so friendly, willing to take time, spend time. Seem to be genuinely glad just to have a chance to meet. Thank you so much for that. We really love having you here.
Thank you.
My question for any one of you is, given your voice skills, have you ever used them to mess with your friends? Prank, practical joke, any one of you want to?
All right, who has the best? All right, Jess will take this.
I got a great one, man. This comes in handy. This is why you shouldn't mess with voice actors, okay? There's two things. First of all, when I was a kid, I was on my own at the age of 16, and I got child support money from my dad every month. It was like $700. That's all I had. One of my buddies stole my child support money, right? And I found out about it, and he took it. And I was so upset. I lost my wallet with my money. I'm like, I'm not gonna have pizza. I can't go out. I can't go to the movies. This is terrible. And then his mom called me and said, hey, my son has your wallet in his drawer. And I'm like, how much money's in it? And there was $700. She said, there's $360. I'm like, that son of a... So I said, okay, I know what to do. I can imitate him really good, right? Now his dad was a really violent alcoholic. and yeah, I know, it's awesome. And I waited until my buddy was out, and I knew he was out, and I called his house, and his dad answered his phone, he's like, hello? And I go, Dad, it's me, bro, because that's how he talked, right? Exactly. And he goes, what do you want? I go, there's a few things on my mind that I gotta get off my chest, Dad, right? And I go, bro, you're a loser, you're an alcoholic, you sit on the couch. His dad beat the hell out of him, man. So that's one way. The other way that's awesome that I still do to this day, let me show you this, because this is badass, this is great. And if you guys ever need me to help you out, I did get the money back, but I only half of it. But here, check this out. Check this out. This is great, you guys. If I ever want to get into a restaurant like in LA, because you know it's all shishi and trendy and you got to know somebody, if I call up and they say, oh, we're all booked, you know, we're booked 3 months in advance, I'm like, okay, no problem. I call back a few minutes later, and this is what I do, okay? They answer the phone, they're like, hello, Spago, can I help you? And I go, yes, hi, my name is Christopher. I'm the assistant to Christopher Walken. Is the manager available, please? And he's like, oh, yeah, hang on a moment. The guy comes to the phone, he goes, yeah, this is Scott. I go, hi, Scott, please hold for Christopher Walken. And he's like, okay. And I go, hi, Scott, listen, it's me. Here's the thing, I got these guys, they're in a band, they're fun. They want to come in and have some dinner tonight. I know you're busy, but I'd appreciate it a lot if you could get them a table. The next thing you know, dude, free dessert, free drinks. If you guys need to get a table for dinner tonight, come by my table downstairs. You don't have to buy nothing, but I'll try to get you hooked up.
Thank you. Use your powers for good.
All right, thank you very much. On this side, go ahead.
What is your favorite character that you've voiced before?
Rob. I get to pick.
The favorite character I've voiced?
Oh wait, you want Jess?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Jess.
Hi, Sarah. My favorite character is the one that gets to talk to you. You know what? Again, I just got to harken back to this. It's so cool. You guys come up to us and you say, thanks for my childhood. It's a beautiful thing. We never get tired of hearing it. It's such a beautiful thing to hear and get to be, you know? And Sarah, when this all started, my favorite character was certainly Wacko, and he will always have a really special place in my heart. But like right now, we're all kind of doing these shows like Doc McStuffins and Sophia the First. These are some new shows, right? Yeah, and what's great about them is they're for little kids. So I always sit here when I'm at these things, signing things, and I think in 20 years, people are going to be coming up to me going, I love Cedric, man, on Sophia the First. That was so cool. Or I loved Chili on Doc, and I grew up with that. And it's like, so my favorite overall character thing and part of the job is that we get to be part of multi-generations of people who are growing up, and we're not curing a disease, but in some small way, hopefully, we're making the ride a little bit easier. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll have Rob take this one since he didn't get the last one. Have you ever had to play two different roles that had to share the same scene? What's that process like? Do you just have your hand go one voice and then the other hand do the other voice?
That's for me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's only disconcerting when I overlap myself. Good joke. No, as long as I'm on my meds, that never happens. I really love doing that, and in fact, when we did the other day, a lot of you at our little music show the other day. That is so much fun, and getting to do I'm Mad is an example of when I get to do two characters back and forth. It's like anything else, you do it long enough and you just kind of slide into it. Obviously, technically, I don't have to. You can stop and you can record. This poor kid.
never seen that part of his neck. All these years I swear to God.
It's like a magic show up here now.
I'm a little shook up.
Yeah, Rocco.
It does have a name.
All hell broke loose.
I am going to put you in the water tower, Rocco.
But no, we can record our lines separately. It's kind of fun to go back and forth. One of the best actors and Maurice has had the pleasure because he's, as you know, been on Futurama forever and actually won 2 Emmys for his work on Futurama. But Billy West,
really deserves 5 Emmys.
Yeah, Billy can do it. He can do a whole script top to bottom and do 4 or 5 characters, and it's truly astonishing. But thank you.
Billy would have 3-page runs where nobody else was talking except the professor, Zoidberg, Fry, and Zap Brannigan. And he would pull it off. I mean, it was unbelievable. We could sit there and twiddle our thumbs. Wait for our
Billy could do 3-page runs, and that would in fact give me the. Because he's just that good. But thank you very much for your kind words. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, just so you guys know online, I'm sorry, but we're looking at another question, and then if you want to hear a little sing-along at the end here, which I know you're waiting for, and I want to let you all know 2 things. If you want, right after this, professional photo ops, they're only doing it today, right after this at 1:15. If you want a photo op, you can go up and get it, and then they'll be signing autographs as well.
But I want to throw out there that all you guys who don't get your questions answered right now, don't feel bad because we're hanging out downstairs, and even if you don't have any dough, which
I think we're upstairs.
I don't know where the hell I am, man.
No, upstairs in
Chicago!
Let's get this right.
We're going to be upstairs.
In zone 3.
Yeah, zone 3.
Upstairs in zone 3.
Upstairs in the Chicago room, zone 3.
You don't need to buy anything. Come on up and say hello.
So if you don't get your questions now, come and see us. And I want you to know, we very much appreciate you guys buying our stuff. That's awesome. But if you just want to come
don't
and
need to buy
say
anything, but it is $500 in questions. You're not technically buying anything.
If you just want to come and say hi and ask a question, we would love to see you. It's been so good getting to hang with you. Anyway, finish.
All right, you get the last question. Go ahead.
Ooh, lucky me. This question is for Rob. Ever since Animaniacs launched, my friends and I have been quoting that show, as I'm sure most people have in this room. I'm wondering if there are any particular lines that you find yourself just saying long after the show for no apparent reason.
Hello, nurse is certainly a good one. I like saying, we like painting naked people. That's comfortable for me.
There are just so many, and hey, yeah, look, Mose.
Hello, nurses.
How about, I don't know, Brain, but how are we going to get the dwarf to sit still?
Right. There are a lot of those. As a matter of fact,
you mean Peter Dinklage?
Yes. Nice. Well, there are lots of them, of course, and I think I have to say there are more that come from Pinky the Brain. Brain, would you be so kind as to ask me?
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain, but me and Pippi Longstocking, what would the children look like?
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, oh my God, yes I am. I think so. I think so, Brain, but who would want to Pierce Brosnan?
Big baby marks. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain, but if Jimmy cracks corn and nobody cares, what does he keep doing it?
If I can piggyback on that, to this day, no matter who it is, in fact, it happened the other day when I was in therapy. My therapist said, so then what do you think you're going to do tonight? I was discussing this really serious issue I was having with someone. He said, what do you think you're going to do tonight, man? I said, the same thing I do every night. Try to take over the world. He laughed and said, you're deflecting.
Wait a minute, I remember like in one episode they were gonna take over Santa's sleigh and take over the world. And as they were parachuting in, do you remember? You said, as Pinky, you said, because the reindeer, you said, Donner's having a party tonight, can we go?
Somehow I'm joining something called the Donner Party.
Having dinner with the Donner Party is not my idea.
All right, so what you've been waiting for, folks, get your cameras ready. Rob's gonna entertain you for a moment. All right, get them ready, folks, here they go.
All right, thank you very much. Again, remember, Randy Rogel wrote this for his audition piece for Animaniacs. And if you know it, sing along. It goes like this.
The Countries of the World, featuring Yakko Warner.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, okay. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Grenada, Salvador, too, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam, Norway, and Sweden, and Iceland, and Finland, and Germany, now and Greece, Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey, and Greece. Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman, Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq, and Iran, there's Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, Yemen, Kuwait, and Bahrain, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Portugal, France, and Denmark, and Spain, India, Pakistan, Burma, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal, and Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Asia, and China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos, and Tibet, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Sumatra, New Zealand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, too, Niger, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana. But wait, there's more. Burundi, Lesotho, and Malawi, Togo, the Spanish Sahara is gone. Now Nigeria, Chad, Nigeria, Egypt, and Guinea, Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, Mali, Sierra Leone, and Algeria, Dahomey, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Gambia, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Moyo, and Cayman, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Kuwait, Mauritania, Tanzania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, and Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan.
Hold on.
One more verse.
Okay.
Actually, will you tell the story?
Yeah, Randy decided, well, he was bored one afternoon, so in 5 minutes he wrote another verse. Because of the dissolution of the Soviet Union, we have more countries of the world. So this is what Randy wrote to tack on today. It goes, Montenegro and Bosnia-Herzegovina, the Soviet Union is gone. Belarus, Georgia, Moldova, and Latvia, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, then there's Tajikistan, also Turkmenistan too, Croatia, Armenia, then there's Slovenia, Trinidad, Tonga, Palau, Lithuania, Serbia, Kosovo, US, Samoa, the Balkans, Brunei, Macau and Crimea, then Eritrea, Ukraine and Estonia, here's Macedonia, New Caledonia, Eastern Slavonia, Ivory Coast and Cape Verde, Andorra, the Solomon Islands, Dubai!
Before we go, will you guys sing one song? Will you sing one song with us? Will you do one song with us?
Everybody's up. Let's host. Sing the song.
All right, let's all stand up and do this, okay?
Okay, here we go.
1, 2, 3. It's time for
Animaniacs, and we're singing to the max. So just sit back and relax, you'll laugh till you relax. We're Animaniacs. Come join the Warner Brothers and the Warner Sister Tot. Just for fun we run around the Warner movie lot. They lock us in the tower whenever we get caught. But we break loose and let them loose, and now you know the plot. We're Animaniacs. Dot is cute and Yakko yaks. Wacko packs away the snacks while Bill Clinton plays the sax. We're Animaniacs. Meet Mickey and the brain who wants to rule the universe. Yes. The feathers flock to get a snappy wax to rip the purse. Button chases Mindy, Marina sings the verse. The writers simply have no script.